answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth!
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Well, early in the hemp headlines, we told you about Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, who is seeking input from the U.S. attorneys, the federal government, on whether or not they should move forward with their medical marijuana program. It was passed by initiative, 50.13% of the vote in Arizona last year. You know, it's funny how when it's immigration, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer claims, oh, states' rights and oh, no federal interference. But when it's a state voting for medical marijuana, she invites federal interference. She said that the letter from Dennis Burke, that U.S. Attorney for Arizona, was a warning to anyone who's involved, from patients and dispensary operators to landlords and even state health officials, that they could be prosecuted in federal court. Boo! See, that scare tactic seems to be working. Rhode Island balked, and Washington balked, and now Arizona, right? Despite the fact that this medical marijuana has been federally illegal the whole time, and New Mexico and Colorado have been licensing dispensaries for years with no federal interference. This is Brewer's quote, "I believe in the will of the people," Brewer said, even though she personally opposed the initiative. "Unfortunately, this piece of legislation, there are some pretty serious consequences if we don't get them resolved," she continued. "And I, as governor, am not willing to put those people at risk." Man, is it appropriate to call a woman, names? I don't know. That's just, I don't think so. But here we go. Bull! I say that is bull. Because first of all, you oppose the initiative. And you're using this empty threat from the U.S. attorney to just provide you cover for overturning the will of what was really little more than half of the people's will in the first place. Don't tell me that you support the will of the people. Now, according to the East Valley Tribune, despite all of that, the state will continue issuing qualified patient cards to anyone who produces the required doctor certification that they have a medical condition that can be treated with marijuana. Gubernatorial press aide Matthew Benson said the state really has no choice. The initiative approved in November says if the state does not accept applications, then anyone who has the doctor's recommendation is automatically considered to have been issued a card. Now, that's some pretty clever language right there. And I have to give some props to the people at MPP that came up with that one, because what's going on here is they've made it so that there's a time limit. Once the doctor issues the recommendation, the state has a clock ticking on them, 45 days, once the application's turned in, 45 days that they have to issue the card. And if they don't make that issuance within 45 days, then the doctor's recommendation is considered the legal card. So in a sense, if Governor Brewer here continues to oppose the program and decides not to issue any cards to anyone, or halts the issuing of cards that are going on right now, then all that means is that everybody who gets a doctor's recommendation and waits for 46 days is a legal patient in the state of Arizona. You would think if Governor Brewer wanted to have some sort of control over what's going on in her medical marijuana program, she'd rather have it in the hands of a state agency controlling the issuance of those cards rather than every doctor in the state of Arizona. Now, I'm fine with it either way, but from her point of view, it would seem like what she's doing is counterproductive. Now, already we reported to you that about 4,000, there's like 3,600 Arizonans have the cards. They're certified under state law right now, and they can have up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana. Now think about that, 3,600 patients, that's a pretty rapid growth curve right there. This initiative wasn't even officially passed until December. They had to do recounts and counts again. And the online-only registration system, you can only register online, that just opened 6 weeks ago. Right? With this kind of growth curve, we're talking over 30,000 patients in the first year in Arizona. Now, continuing on with the story, Brewer wants to know whether state officials who issue dispensary licenses can be prosecuted because they are, quote, facilitating the distribution of marijuana. And Brewer said she fears that the State Department of Public Safety could lose federal grants by refusing, as a matter of policy, to arrest those caught with the drug simply because they are complying with state law. Now you're reaching. Now you're really reaching, Governor Brewer. You can't name any one of the now 16 medical marijuana states that over the past 14 years has lost a single federal grant for not locking up patients. It just doesn't exist. And as for the dispensary licenses, well, you remember how much I complained about MPP's 25-mile halo part of the language? It said you couldn't grow at home if you lived within 25 miles of a dispensary. Well, if Brewer gets the answer we know she's going to get from the feds, which is, yeah, we can bust you for medical marijuana, then if she doesn't issue any dispensary licenses, that means every one of those patients can grow up to 12 plants in their home because they will all live more than 25 miles from dispensaries that don't exist. 4,000 patients now, 30,000 patients in a year, all growing a dozen plants at home. Again, you'd think if Governor Brewer was really going for some sort of control over medical marijuana, she'd implement this law and start issuing dispensary licenses and keep the vast majority of medical marijuana grown in licensed and regulated and secure facilities. But if she doesn't issue licenses, we're talking about 30,000 home grows. Maybe not that many. Some people might cooperate, but we're still talking tens of thousands of home grows. So again, I'm cool with that too. You know, let my people grow. But Governor Brewer doesn't seem to be getting out of this what she thinks she will get out of this. You think the feds are going to come back and say, no, you don't issue licenses, and so suddenly the people won't use this law? No. They're going to continue to follow this law. They're going to get their recommendations. They're going to grow their 12 plants at home, and Arizona is going to just blossom as a medical marijuana state. Governor Brewer, this fight's over. We got 16 states now. The public supports us at 60, 70, sometimes 80% for the use of medical marijuana. It's time to get with the times and take that same bravado you use to fight federal immigration policy and claim states' rights. Take that same fight and back up your people and fight for the states' rights to implement their medical marijuana initiatives without federal interference. Don't invite that interference. That's counterproductive and counter to your role as governor.
This is Normal Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
All right, folks, for Ganja John and Cannabis Carry, I'm Radical Russ for the Normal Foundation. Thanks for sticking around. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it,